What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for life, coming at you on YouTube, and tonight I've got some football focus. The Pittsburgh Steelers just finished their NFL wildcard 2025/26 season playoff game against the Houston Texans. Houston had never won a road playoff game in their team history. They had been 0-3 in recent memory, going on the road, trying to win playoff games. They are usually kind of a first round out. They'll get the occasional win, but normally lose on the road in the playoffs. Pittsburgh almost always wins these Monday night home games, so things looked in our favor in that sense. Came in pretty healthy today. Most guys played. Pretty much everyone that was on the active roster was able to play today. Houston just came in, and it's, not much changes sometimes. The calendar changes, things move forward, but the results remain the same. When you kind of have the same script over and over again and you don't make changes, this is what happens. Pittsburgh gets drubbed. The game was a lot closer up until the fourth quarter than you would think, but Houston goes on and gets a 30-6 win. Again, that 30 points is a bit misleading. Pittsburgh actually entered the fourth quarter only down 10-6. Pittsburgh had the ball in the fourth quarter with a chance to go up, get a touchdown, and go ahead in the fourth quarter, down just 10-6. All of a sudden, Houston comes out and gets 20 points in the fourth quarter off a fumble 6 and a pick 6, so they turn it into a rout because the defense was on fire. Pittsburgh comes out in the first drive. It looks really good. Gets DK Metcalf involved on a good screenplay, gets him downfield for a nice play. Jaylen Warren gets a nice play. We start with a pretty solid drive. That results in a field goal. So Pittsburgh goes up 3-0 and then comes out and gets a turnover. And you're thinking, wow, Pittsburgh's got a lead and a turnover and the ball. Pittsburgh's feeling good. And that was about as good as it got. The scoreboard for Pittsburgh reads 6 tonight. We get 2 field goals, no touchdowns. We don't score a touchdown for the entire game. Now I know. I talked about it last week. Houston's got the best statistical defense in the NFL. They've got 4 really good physical young secondary players. They've got guys that are known for creating turnovers. They've got a middle linebacker who's very, very talented and a Pro Bowler this year. They've got 3 10-plus sack artists on their defensive line, including phenomenal Will Anderson. So they've got a young, hungry roster that has been delivering all season long, getting pressure, getting coverage, getting turnovers, protecting the ball on offense up until tonight, actually. So you figure Houston was coming into Pittsburgh still a small favorite, but Pittsburgh, again, getting healthy, getting the big win last week. Aaron Rodgers potentially playing his final game, either in the NFL or at least as a Steeler. You would think momentum was going to be on our side playing at home, and that it was going to be a lot closer than it wound up being. And it was, again, until the fourth quarter. All of a sudden, the defense got tired, the floodgates opened. Basically, again, after Pittsburgh comes out, they get a field goal, they get a turnover. The Texans were sloppy with the ball. They tried to give us this game over and over and over again. C.J. Stroud and the center, for whatever reason, I don't think it was a backup center, but they had a hard time with these shotgun snaps. There was, I think, 5 fumbled snaps tonight. 2 wound up being sack fumbles for us. Stroud, again, fumbling 5 times off the center snaps, loses 2 of them. We also get a pick in this game, so Stroud gives us 3 turnovers. 2 of which are pretty good field position, and we don't do anything with it. There are some key stats in this game that make sense. Number 1, our yards per attempt. I don't have the exact number, but I know in general this season it has been, I think, the second lowest in the NFL for any quarterback, yards per attempt, kind of like downfield passing plays. And that's what the Texans really thrived on. They've got this defense that's physical and hungry, and there are ways to get to them. The middle of the field can be open at times. One-on-one matchups can be in our favor depending on the alignments. And the middle of the field, like I said, can be open, and they get penalties. They're a team that's often penalized, so there's ways to get downfield. And DK Metcalf on his 3rd target did draw a big pass interference penalty. So his first 3 targets go for 2 catches for 42 yards and then a pass interference that he drew, and then didn't get another catch for the rest of the game. Pittsburgh on offense was running the same -1 to 3 yard plays every time. It's the same middle screens, tight end screens, little pitch plays to Jonnu Smith, little simple screens to DK, Aaron Rodgers holding the ball too long, Rodgers scrambling around too slow and throwing the ball at guys' feet. This just didn't work. When you have an offense that's known to not be a chunk play offense, and you've got a defense that's as fast and aggressive as Houston, they just can stand around the line and wait for you to dump off a 1 to 3 yard play and just run and tackle you. It's just, the defense wasn't giving us anything downfield. They said, go ahead and dump off and try and break some tackles, and they wouldn't let us. They crowded the line. They stacked the box on the running backs who, didn't do a whole lot tonight. They tackled the receivers. But like I said, between -1 and +3 yards were our biggest plays for a lot of the game. And then the other two big stats are third downs. We only, I think, converted 2 third downs the entire game. I didn't write down the exact number. Mason Rudolph converts one at the very end of the game. Mason Rudolph was in. That lets you know how much the game had gotten out of hand. So Rodgers only converts 1 third down, I think, out of like 9 or 10. So you can't be 1 for 10 on third down and then also be losing third down on defense too. Houston was converting third downs like crazy and getting much shorter down in distances. So controlling the ball, playing, being able to pick up bigger chunk plays on first and second down to put themselves in third down and short. So better ball management, better third down management, better third down conversions, worse, not getting off the field on third downs for our defense, not staying on the field on third downs for our offense. Those are really big key things. And not being able to capitalize on turnovers. We got 3 turnovers in this game and only 3 points off those turnovers. Houston gets 2 turnovers off us very late in the fourth quarter, and they get 14 points directly off those turnovers, a fumble 6 and a pick 6. So Houston, on the exact turnovers, go ahead and get 5 times the amount of points that we got off our turnovers when the game was still in question. Aaron Rodgers, in what should be his last game in Pittsburgh, there's been a lot of conjecture. I've got a sinking feeling that we're going to run it back next year with this same exact team. Something in my heart and my gut is telling me we're going to see Rodgers and Tomlin and Arthur Smith and Terrell Austin all back on the field next year, coaching respectively and playing. I get a feeling that the only change we're going to make is bringing in another veteran receiver. They're going to bring in one more receiver and think that's going to be enough, and they're going to obviously draft some guys, and they're going to think that's going to be enough to make this team better. But what it comes down to is, once again, for 7 playoff appearances in a row now, for many, many years, Pittsburgh falls into that 10-7, 9-8. We get 10 this year, get a division title, get to the playoffs, and get slaughtered, just like we did against Kansas City, just like we did against Buffalo. This happens every time, and there's got to be change. I understand the winning season record. I understand finding ways with different players and injuries to get to the playoffs. I love and respect Mike Tomlin as a person. I love Tomlin as a leader and a coach, but it's time to go a different way. Rodgers is not the answer. Aaron Rodgers in this game, 17 of 33, almost 50% completion percentage. 17 of 33, 17 completions for only 146 yards. That just lets you know we're not going downfield whatsoever. No touchdowns in the whole game. 1 interception, which went for a pick 6. Also a fumble that went for a touchdown as well. To Aaron Rodgers' credit, the one thing that I will say in his defense in this awful game that he had, terrible game that he had, was that Houston's defensive line was bullying our offensive line. Our O-line had one of its worst games in a long time. Definitely its worst game probably in 7 or 8 weeks. And that just goes to the fact that Houston's got the best front 3 in the NFL. I think Houston's got the best D-line in the league, 2 of which I think maybe all 3 are Pro Bowlers, at least 2 though. But you have guys like Rankins and Anderson. There's not much you can do against that. They're the best for a reason. So I'm not going to put the game all on Rodgers. He was hit a lot, but he also was inaccurate, and he was pumping too much and holding the ball too much and trying to run around too much and getting himself loose for first downs that he couldn't run for because he's too old, and just missing guys, and guys were on different pages, and he was screaming at guys for running the wrong routes again, which makes me think that it's partially him again. So this whole thing just doesn't work. No touchdowns, 1 pick, 146 yards. Jaylen Warren in this game, 12 carries, 43 yards, just 3.6 yards per carry. Gainwell only had 20 as well, at like 3.3 yards per carry, so neither guy did much. They both had a couple nice runs, but nothing special. That was, again, the defensive front of the front 7 for the Texans, being able to crowd the line. When you're not taking shots downfield, or when you are, your shots are way out of reach, like the Calvin Austin play that he almost caught off a tip, or, there was one for a pass interference that we drew. But if we're not taking shots downfield with Metcalf and we're not getting guys open and the line's not able to hold up, obviously they're going to just crowd the line and put, 10 guys in the box and rush and tackle the running backs and hit Rodgers over and over again. So there's no chance for the running backs in this game. Leading receiver in this game is DK Metcalf. Had 2 catches for 42 yards, plus the pass interference on the opening drive in his first 3 targets. I think only had 3 targets after that and no catches for the rest of the game. He got open on one. Rodgers found him on a nice sideline ball where he got open, and he dropped a really easy ball. I'm going to give DK a lot of flack for that as well. Again, you almost cost us the season by getting yourself suspended in key times, and then you come back and get a drop like that. I know he's our best receiver by far, and he's a guy that's got physical attributes that are almost unmatched by most receivers in the NFL physically, but you can't drop balls like that, and he's been doing it all year. He's inconsistent. He's got really strong hands and a strong frame, and he's made a lot of plays with freakish athleticism, but he's also dropped a lot of easy ones, and tonight was a very good example of Rodgers making probably his best throw of the entire night, to be honest, and it's just dropped. There's another one DK had to dive for that went through his hands. It was kind of a hard catch, but he could have made it. So yeah, not really impressed with DK. That being said, 42 yards is by far our leading receiver for the night. He's the only receiver over 30 yards on the entire team. Calvin Austin had 1 nice catch. That was it. Frymouth only had 2 targets, one of which was a beautiful catch for, I think, one of our only 2 third down conversions on the day. He doesn't get targeted nearly enough. That's pretty much it. There's nothing much going on. Jonnu Smith still has not found a role or gotten himself in any kind of groove, or the play calling has not been good. As much as I want to see both Rodgers and Tomlin gone, I don't know what's going to happen with Rodgers. They said coming into the game the last couple weeks, Pittsburgh has been anxious to potentially bring him back. They're going to see where he's at. Rodgers has said that he thinks he's done and he feels like he's done, but he's not 100% certain yet, and he's going to see what the Steelers want to do, and they seem to want him back. So there's a chance that he will come back. And with Tomlin getting 10 wins, once again a winning season, once again in the playoffs, and just saying, hey, if we just weren't injured or if we just had one more receiver, we could do this. I could see the organization staying with these guys. And honestly, again, I respect Rodgers' career and I respect Mike Tomlin more than anybody in the world. But I think it's time to go. Both these guys. Arthur Smith, I don't even have a defense for him. I've got a defense for Tomlin and Rodgers, considering the things I just said about Hall of Fame and legends and winning seasons and, a few players away. But Arthur Smith has got to be the first guy to go. And, defensively, again, we only gave up 7 points. Let's go ahead and get to the rest of the stats. I'm going to give DK a negative for the drop in spite of being the leader. Offensive line got bullied today. Bad day for Troy Fautanu. Probably one of the worst 2 or 3 games of his entire career for sure. Good season, but a bad game. Dylan Cook got blown out today. Not a good day either for Sayamalu, to be honest. Again, you're facing the best defensive line in the NFL and the best overall defense. You're outmatched, and your offense is not helping you out by getting the ball out quickly or taking any shots downfield. So it is a cumulative problem today. I'm not going to put any blame on Warren or Gainwell, but everybody else gets some blame. DK, Rodgers, Arthur Smith, Tomlin, they all get some blame. The line all gets some blame as well. Defensively, like I said, we did get 3 turnovers, even though it didn't help us. Opening up with Jack Sawyer getting in, forcing a fumble, which Y.A. Black recovered. Good to see rookie on rookie help there. Both rookies making a play. Another play, a couple drives later, Keanu Benton forced a fumble, which T.J. Watt recovered. So Benton with a forced fumble, Watt with fumble recovery. Brandon Echols also got a pick in the Texans red zone. Echols did a nice play, jumping a route. Stroud threw the ball late and tried to fit it into a tight window, threw it behind the receiver a little late. You don't throw behind when you're late like that, or vice versa. Echols makes a nice jump for a nice pick. That being said, Echols got torched today. Defensively, we just eventually got tired. We got those 3 turnovers, and they only got 3 points off them. And eventually, the Texans just found a way to pound the ball on us, just like Baltimore always does, just like other teams have this season. And they wound up pounding us down into the ground, where we eventually got too tired to keep getting off the field. Overall, again, I can't blame the defense as a whole. 2 of the Texans' 3 touchdowns were defensive touchdowns that they got off our turnovers while we were still on the field. So can't blame the defense for that. They did get tired and allow a rushing touchdown, but Texans come down maybe 3 or 4 drives in, get a passing touchdown to Christian Kirk, and then don't score another point until early in the fourth quarter. They went, over half the first plus the second and third and part of the fourth without scoring points. So we had a chance. We had a chance in the fourth quarter with the ball in our hands to take the lead, and we didn't do anything on offense. That being said, the defense did get drubbed at the end. 3 sacks in this game. 2 of those go with Sawyer and Benton. So Sawyer and Benton both get the forced fumble and a sack as well. And the third sack goes to Derek Harmon, who caught C.J. Stroud behind the line of scrimmage. So, again, another rookie, Harmon, making another nice play. Inconsistent and not always as present as you would like, but recovered from an injury, played in his first season, and played pretty well. I like Harmon's first year here. 2 big positives. I want to give Nick Herbig some positives. He made a few nice pressures, got into the guys' face. I like some of the defensive play calls early. They were using... They had a couple plays where Eccles was blitzing off the edge. They had Ramsey blitz once. They had Queen blitzing up the middle. They were doing a lot of stunts and a lot of nice blitz packages, getting good pressure early, which was making the difference to making Stroud not able to get the ball out fast enough because our outside defenders were playing a really good ball game. JPJ, I think, only had one first down catch given up on him. Pierre only had 1 first down catch given up, and Samuel didn't have any. It was really only Eccles, to be honest, in the slot. But the outside guys were doing a great job in coverage, and the blitzers were getting there. So if your outside guys are covered and your blitzers are getting there, it's causing the Texans to not be able to do much on offense. Couple that with all the fumbled snaps and the turnovers at crucial times, that gave us a big chance that we didn't take. So Herbig with a nice day, a lot of good pressures. And JPJ, Joey Porter Jr. played a really good game in this game, had 2 really nice pass deflections, and got off the field twice on other times on third downs. So good day. Again, Nico Collins is a pretty elite wide receiver. He went out with a concussion. I hope he comes back next week and plays. I'm rooting for the Texans actually in the AFC. Favorite team left in the AFC by far. I want to see these guys go far. I like this team. But Nico Collins only had a couple catches in this game. I think he had 20 yards receiving, so JPJ shut him down. Also did a good job on rookie Jaden Higgins when he had him one-on-one. Like I said, good days overall by the outside guys. Eccles was matched up in the slot one-on-one with Christian Kirk and allowed 4 giant plays. I don't know if all 4 were on him. I don't think the touchdown was necessarily on him. I think the touchdown might have been. Touchdown given up by Eccles. Also 3 plays of 30 yards or longer. I think a 35, a 45, and a 50-something, plus a touchdown. Eccles did have that one really nice pick that saved us points, but he got torched today. We have to look at that slot corner spot in the future. Chris Boswell, 2 of 2, made 2 basic field goals. Only guy to score today. Thank you for a good season overall, Boz. Cordless Waitman, very good overall day. 6 punts for 273 yards, 45.5 yards per punt, with 4 of the 6 punts landing inside the 20 and 2 being well over 50. So a good day for Waitman as well. No special team splash plays, no big returns for Austin, no real targets for Austin or Muth once again. I think it's time to blow this thing up. And when we'll talk about it in the coming weeks, I'm going to do a season recap for offense and defense, talk about all the players that were starting this year, all the stats, talking about who should stay, who should go, what we need in the draft and free agency coming up. I'll be doing a breakdown of all sides. But the first thing that needs to happen, in my opinion, the first thing is Arthur Smith, in my opinion. The second thing is Aaron Rodgers. The third thing is Terrell Austin. The fourth thing is Mike Tomlin, but I think all 4 absolutely have to go. I think it's time for a new era in Pittsburgh because this season, while fun at times and while interesting with all the big names and all the big contracts, you bring in veterans and legends and you draft all these big guys to stop the run, which we didn't do, as Woody Marks has his career high today and winds up with almost 8 yards per carry, and Nick Chubb, the backup, winds up with 5.5 or 6 yards a carry, and with his old legs. And you have Christian Kirk with his career high with 144 yards receiving and 4 giant plays on us. The defense is still getting gashed in certain points. The offense can't do anything. The play calling didn't help. Both sides of the ball were inconsistent this year. Tomlin didn't do his best coaching by any means, but it's another thing where you bring in all these guys to avoid falling into the same fate. And what do? You get 10-7 like every year. It's 10-7 or 9-8. You get 10-7. You eke out the division. You have to rely on yourself in the last week of the season to pull out a heart stopper. You get lucky on a missed field goal to get to the playoffs, and you get blown out by a better team in the first round of the playoffs. These first round one and dones are getting real old. I think it's time for new blood. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments down below, as hopefully a new era in Pittsburgh kicks off very soon. The Ravens fired John Harbaugh, easy for me to say, for a lot less. in my opinion. He did more with less this season than Mike Tomlin did. So we will see what happens. But let's talk about this game in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe to these Pittsburgh Steelers deep dives. And I want to thank you guys for a very successful season. Lots of views, lots of comments, lots of new subs. Please sub this channel if you get a chance, and please tell your friends about it if you like these deep dives and you like this coverage. I want to keep doing these. I'm going to have plenty of off-season coverage. Like I said, breaking down both sides of the ball is coming next, and what we have to do going forward. So what do you guys think of this game and going forward? Let's talk about it, but I'll see you guys real soon. Take care. Thank you for a good season. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon.